Is signing up for a Twitter account notwithstanding, I think that Benedict did not reach the youth of the American Church, certainly in a way that his predecessor did, who's, over his long pontificate, I think we're still seeing what an impact he had in drawing so many young people the world over, but particularly in the United States, to the Church. I think that in terms of, if I were to advise the next Pope on what he could do to keep the Catholic Church a relevant force in American life, it would be to engage the under 30 crowd. And how do you do that? And I think that's a tough question, but one of the ways you don't do that, I think, is to take really the most public example of the last year is by singling out a group of American sisters to reform them. This is not to question the Pope's authority, the authority of the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith to do that. This is not to even suggest that there isn't room for improvement, certainly in the antagonistic relationship that has existed between women religious and authorities in Rome. But this is to say that in a time when many Catholics, but particularly many young American Catholics, see greater challenges and issues facing the Church, is that really the message that you want to send, that this would be the priority? So I think a hunch that I have is that this investigation of LCWR, the doctrinal assessment of that, I suspect, of course it depends on who the successor is, but I wouldn't be surprised if that were to simply fade away. Not that the Vatican is ever subject to public opinion in this, so I don't mean to suggest that because it was so unpopular in the United States that the Vatican is going to do it, but it's a matter of audience, and what is the, you have very limited time and energy, so as the Church defines its priorities, why that? And again, I don't think this was something that sent the signal that the Church was as in touch with the American realities as it could be. On the particular issue of sisters, my best case scenario would actually not be to let it fade away, but for the Pope to actually engage in a dialogue with sisters, and that's been how it's presented, that the doctrinal assessment is designed to be a dialogue. It's been billed as that, but I'm not so sure there's been very little indication that it is intended, it's going to work out as a two-way street. It seems that it's more a top-down, we're going to tell you what you're doing wrong. Whereas I think the Universal Church could learn a great deal from American sisters. And I think, so in that sense, I would hope that this conversation not be silenced, but that there would actually be members of the hierarchy who sit down and talk to American sisters who are on the front lines, both in this country and throughout the world, of the challenges facing the faithful. And I think lay people in this country do recognize that when they look at, when they think of who's more connected, who's more in tune with the challenges of the Church today. I think in the aggregate they would say it is American sisters and not the people at the Holy See. So I think that would be one way that the Pope could indicate a new direction. Let's learn a little more from American sisters, what it's looked like. One of the really interesting things about the doctrinal assessment, a little noticed phrase, was that one of the concerns was the influence that American sisters had over the Church and the rest of the world. And of course the implication was that let's arrest this feminist nonsense there before it spreads. But I think in another more positive sense, American sisters are all over the world, and they're connected through their congregations, and they have really, most of them have really grasped sooner than most other American Catholics that we are part of a global church, and what does that mean, and what is the responsibility of the American faithful in this world. Young people understand that as well. So I think that would be one area that I would see some potential for very fruitful dialogue between the Pope and American sisters about what is it like.